braggadocious parenting. It's difficult not to do. I mean, this day of social media and getting a lot of our parenting advice and parenting ideas from social media, sharing our experiences, it's hard not to get braggadocious. There are a lot of arenas in our lives in which we take our reward immediately instead of waiting for our reward in heaven. Right? We not only let our right hand see what our left is doing, but we make sure the entire world sees it. And that comes into play when we talk about parenting online. And listen, I mean, I have a vlog, and I talk about things I do with my family all the time. And so, I mean, this is a difficulty because we want to communicate with each other. We want to help each other, tell each other about successes and failures that we've had. But the ease with which we can share these things has really led to a culture of reward now, not reward later. And the reward is the acclaim of our peers. And it's resulted in a highly evolved culture of humblebrag. I mean, this is something that everyone who's watching this video has seen, has experienced, has probably read articles about, has probably engaged in a bit of it themselves. The humble brag is the art, if well done, of appearing to be humble, not to be bragging, but in fact, boasting, bragging. I just saw this thing on Facebook. It was a note that, the way it was shared, I know that it was not someone I know who put this up. But it was a note on Facebook entitled, "Today I am the worst mom ever," or "Today I am the meanest mom ever." Yeah, I think that's what it was, something like that. And then there was this whole story about how this woman took her 3 kids to Dairy Queen, ordered ice creams, and the whole time they were ordering ice cream and waiting for their ice cream and getting their ice cream from the young lady who looked after them, none of the kids looked at the young lady, looked in the eyes of the young lady to order for her, and did not say thank you or look in her eyes when they accepted the ice creams. And listen, as an aside, that is a personal pet peeve of mine. That's something, when my children do that, and to this day, that continues to be a struggle. I think it's a natural thing for children to want to gravitate toward. I mean, that is a huge pet peeve of mine, so I completely understand where this mom is coming from. So the story goes on. Remember, she's the meanest mom in the world today. So this whole story about how she basically, the children go outside to eat their Dairy Queen ice cream. She collects the ice creams from all 3 of them, dumps them in the garbage. The kids think the world has ended. There is gnashing of teeth, weeping, and much lamentation. So then she lectures the children as she lectures us, the readers. That hopefully one day they'll be lucky enough to have a job like that young lady's at Dairy Queen, and that hopefully people will treat them at that point with some dignity and respect. And that this is to teach them to treat Dairy Queen employees with dignity and respect. Okay, so today I'm the meanest mom in the world. Y'all, that is braggadocious. That is everything about a post like that reeks of boasting, and I mean, it becomes sort of obvious. Like, I'm telling you this whole story about this thing I did with my kids. And the reason I'm telling you is to impress you. Now, here is the problem. The biggest problem right away. Not to speak of the problem that happens as your heart changes and you become the sort of person who is boastful and prideful. But thinking about your children, The trap in these humble brags is that you will begin to question your own motivations in handling your children. And your children will begin to question your motivation as well. Your kids ain't dumb. They're going to see why you're doing these things. They're going to see that you have an audience for your behaviors and an audience for how you handle them. And again, I say this as someone who talks about my family online, but you have to take care, because you do not want to call into question. It's the most important thing is to protect the integrity of your family. And it's important to be aware that doing the whole messy mom reverse bragging blog thing, for example, like moms who like to talk about how their lives are a mess and a disaster because secretly it conveys how hard they're working. This kind of story really can mess with the integrity of your family. This kind of bragging really can mess with the integrity of your family, because everything, the truth and the motivation for everything that you do will, with validity, be called into question. You don't want that. You do not want your kids to think that you are loving them to impress others. Your kids should understand without a shadow of a doubt that you love them because they are God's gift to you. You love them because they are your children. And telling a funny story about your kids, or telling an enriching story about your kid, or an instructive story about your kids, that's wonderful. But can you see, and can your kids see, the difference between that sort of story with your kid and the sort of story that ends up selling them and selling their lives for just a few pennies of Facebook pride? So, a little something to be aware of, to consider in how you interact online for me as well. Not to be braggadocious parents. The peace of Christ be upon you.